I can say one of the first questions that I personally get asked when I start talking about, well, we can all create whatever we desire, is, well, what about the people who desire to create war?
Mm.
How is that a creative process brought through by God? How would you answer?
Mm. This would have to go into a macro conversation. And the fact that, this is just one perspective, but I would feel that in every given moment, every person is doing the best that they know how based on the awareness that they have. Is that the best that they could be? Probably not. So they were feeling the best that they could be, or experiencing their greatest potential. Would they need to wage war? No. Usually it's stemming from something, a deep, deep, unresolved struggle, fear, something like that. And our society is not set up. We can have people who can speak multiple languages or can do incredible math problems. But those same individuals in our society, no matter what you can do, if we don't know how to manage our emotions or heal our traumas or effectively express who we are through communication, or take the time to listen to others in their communication, then honestly, none of that other stuff matters. And so we talk about creativity as an aspect of love. Oftentimes when people are seeking to create something like war, it is stemming from a spectrum of love. Maybe it's because they feel like they were wanted. They wanted to be wanted. They wanted to feel love. And instead, they weren't able to figure out how to do that, so they desired to create control, because that was the only form of perceived love that they could understand. And as a whole, as a collective species of humans, well, what's the greater lesson that we can learn? If we do see that war is being created, is there a way that we as a whole can say, that's not the type of creativity we as a collective society desire to create? What can we learn from this, and how can we not do this again? Just like we would on an individual basis, how many choices have we made where we waged war on some version of ourselves or some form of ourselves or something that we were doing that was not in alignment with who we are? When there's disharmony within ourselves, there's going to be disharmony outside of self. That's going to happen on an individual and collective basis. And until we take the time to go within and see that within ourselves, then we're just going to be continuing to live this external, outside to in approach that is dominated by control, fear, loneliness, and hate. But the reality is those are on the spectrum of love. All those can't exist without love, but love can absolutely exist without those.
Answer from my perspective?
Sorry, it's long and probably multiple puzzles in that, but it wasn't an easy question.
No, and it's not an easy one to answer, and that's why I always welcome it. Because there is no easy response. And in hearing what you said, to me, it's almost like, as we're talking about these tools, right, that kind of crack open the heart and make it wider, what we would call open the frequency to receive that God consciousness, God awareness, just our connection, our individual connection to Source, to God, to Allah, to whatever it is that the belief system is that connects us to the divine. There is an opening of the channel. It's almost like it can shrink to where there's just a little trickle that gets in, or it can be very widened like a river, right? And so it's almost, how much does an individual that is choosing that as their creation, how wide is that? Has it shrunk to where there's very little getting in because of the experiences of their life, the journey of their soul? Who knows what has led them there, that has not afforded them the opportunities to have that wider awareness or connection to feel that love that you're talking about, and has maybe gotten them to that state where that is a choice they would make, because that is the awareness, or as you said, they're doing the best that they know how from where they are on their journey. And so is it God coming through them that's making that choice, or is it the lack of God coming through them that is making that choice? That's really what I sit with personally and ask myself, as someone who seeks to understand from the quantum perspective how energy plays a part in our form, in the energetic synapse in our body, and even in our ability to make choices. So that's really where I come at it from.
I love it. It's beautiful. And I know we're both speaking from a place where neither of us have been to war.
Yeah.
We're blessed that we haven't had to experience that. It's sad enough to see it on TV, but really fortunate that we are not. So, of course, our hearts go out to everyone who's experiencing that right now, and everyone who has fought for a lot of the things that we get to enjoy right now. So I want to make sure that that's on the table when we're talking about such a difficult conversation. But you're right, at least for me and my perspective, as I really align with what you're saying.
Anything we talk about right now is all not from experience, so we're talking about it from an observational standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I love what you're saying. What is it showing us when that, when an action is taking place? What is that showing? It's so easy to want to condemn the individual who's doing the action, or the individuals who are doing the action. But then the reality is we need to step back as a society and say, well, what are we creating in our society that is really would even, I don't know if the right term is allow or enable or
create a circumstance,
produce the circumstance where that would occur. If we did focus on love, connection, unity, oneness, seeing each other through, empathy, compassion, and we did embrace our creative nature and our divine selves within, and saw that within everyone, would war even be an option? It's a good question to ask. And humanity hasn't been in a place where that's been the case. Yet humanity continues to go back and back into the old habits. And so maybe these things keep occurring just like they do in our individual lives, where we keep experiencing the same things over and over because they're meant to be a lesson to show us we don't have to keep doing that. There is another way. And so maybe, wars throughout human history have been that opportunity for us to recognize that that no longer serves us. It never does. So why do we keep choosing it? And why aren't we recognizing that there is another way?
And to me, it's amazing how many, we enjoy TV shows sometimes, and we've noticed a theme even in TV shows where it's like humanity reflecting back to itself the possibility of what could happen if we continue down the trajectory that we're on. So even in our creative process of creating movies and television, there are many who are attempting to reflect back. Like, we see the trajectory, the potential trajectory. Can we choose something different? Coming back to choice in creation. Can we choose something different now that will prevent a potential trajectory that might look like this? And so even the collective consciousness of humanity is saying, we potentially see where this could lead, and we see that there's a different solution. Can we come together for a different solution through mediums that reach a very large audience? So to me, the creative component I'm witnessing is in motion. And I am so grateful for that.